Alright, so a few of you really like some of the builds that we've done before, whereas the 30-second guides, so I thought I'd do an extended guide on a new build that I found, which is the Shred build. It's a Shred build. Just the Shred build. A couple of things about the talents before we get started in this little solo dungeon. The main aspect of this is going to be Shred, of course. We're going to be working with a slight transform, but there's a lot of defensives that I like in this build, as well as a nice little single target jump into wolves. Of course, this is a build, a leveling guide, as opposed to an end game guide, so it will be slightly different if you're doing more of an end game guide. I like to do leveling builds just because I'd like to make mini characters. So the start of this build is going to start all the way to the top with our typical Storm Strike, and then leaning into Enhanced, and then Fierce Storm Strike following up with that. I'll move it more towards the center so people can see. So Storm Strike, and then following up with Enhanced, and then also our Fierce. Seconds, it's going to be these ranks come as time goes along, so as you're leveling, you're not going to pull all these ranks immediately. I think you pull these around a level like level 11, but you have Shred, and then you have Enhanced Shred, as well as Raging Shred. These are just going to increase the amount of a little bit of heals, but just a little bit more damage from Shred. And I'll talk more about what Shred does in a second here. Earthen Bulwark, you're going to pull a rank out of that, as well as Enhanced Earthen Bulwark. The main thing is just becoming unstoppable is the reason why you want to pull that, so you can make easy escapes if need be. And then Blood Howl is also going to be our main sort of ultimate in this. This on top of further ranks with Call of the Wild, or I'm sorry, not Call of the Wild. This with further ranks of our companions really helps to, or I'm sorry, Blood Howl in combination with Earthen Bulwark is a great defensive mechanic, and can really marry well with those, because it heals you for so much life. And the defensive also makes you unstoppable, so a great healing tactic there. And then using the wolves for single target damage is a really good move. And then Poison Creeper, which gives you a nice, basically surround everybody, give everyone a little dot of poisoning damage. It can only be used every 20 seconds, so you only want to use this with big groups, but it's a nice little AoE spell, whereas you have a lot more single target damage, which does a lot. Now for our main ability, that's going to be Shred. Shred has 3 attacks, so whenever you activate this, you can attack 3 times without spending more spirit. Your first attack is going to be a dash, and then you have a second attack, which is more of like just like a Fury Swipes, and then the third attack, which is going to be the finishing move. And then basically it resets. You have a few seconds to use it before the next one, so you can take a small break in between if need be, but just know that it can expire in the middle of it, and then may accidentally spend a little too much on the spirit. And so what I'm going to use in the beginning here is I'm just going to use those Fury Swipes just to give you an idea of what that looks like whenever you start gathering up that spirit, and then using the Shred to kind of spend it out. This is going to be our main methodology, right? So spend, as you can see, that bar goes down in between our swipes. That last attack has a clear ocean that it does. It can be tempting to switch because like you don't want to spend too much spirit, but try to push that to the back of your mind if you can. Okay, sealed. Oh, it's gonna be great. Alright, so we have some single target damage, so I'm gonna put my wolves into this. Also getting a lot of damage dealt and a lot of enemies, so I'm going to use my poison and my earthen bulwark, as well as my wolf to heal a little bit. It's a great opportunity to use all of my abilities there, really.
I do not have enough spirits.
great single target damage with this. I can really just hop in, get my swipes in, throw my wolves in on him. I'm taking too much damage, throw my bulwark, and then I'm ready to heal again, so I can use that again. I like it because I don't have to use my abilities as much. Check out the chest armor, dexterity. Let's see. Let's give it a shot. I think it's my first legendary on this character. Actually, might be my first legendary in general. Not 100% certain though. See, I can start it on one. I can start it on one enemy and then finish up on the next. That's nice. Start my poison up. Start to do a little bit of damage. Sick my wolves on this real quick. Okay. Now I'm gonna use my call. I'm gonna focus down on this guy. Okay, we'll work again. Actually gonna go ahead and use my wolves again. Took a lot of damage there, but I'm trying to take it slow so it's not like too unclear what I'm doing. Also historically bad at video games. That's another reason. We came out of it quick and it was only one potion, despite going pretty slow. And these little fury swipes, the little shreds, that third attack does a decent amount of damage. I'm getting pretty decent crits in there. It's a lot more single target. The mobility's pretty low. I do have an armor ability that gives me more dashes, but that's just unique to what I have right here. I do like getting movement speed and like extra dashes in my armor sets because I feel like it adds a little bit more. Because a dash on top of a swipe, that gives you a little bit of a lunge. It's a nice little combo there. I think Barbarian has a build just like it that has that sort of dash attack and then put it together with a nice little the dash attack with your dodge. It's a nice little combo. I don't know why I ran into that. I'm gonna try it right here. I'm gonna do a. Oh wait, let me get some spirit. We're gonna dash. Let's see how it lunges a little bit forward as it attacks. It's not super big, but it's something. My discovery with this is that like you're gonna need to like do the 3 attacks, but like break it up with something different so you don't accidentally roll into another combo without realizing. So like right after that third attack, just start attacking regularly. Make sure you transform. It's kind of hard to keep count. Okay, combo, and then I guess a good way to find out is actually running out of spirit. Use my single target abilities. My forward. Go ahead and poison. Okay. This is going to be a great opportunity to use my single target here. And my wolves. And let's clean up the rest. So far, I'm really liking this build. Even though it's more single target focused, I think that it has enough with like the wolves and like your swipes, because it does a decent amount of damage to like really crush down those single targets. I would say you want to take priority on like your heaviest enemies first, and then you should be able to gather spirit, and then really crush the rest with your poison creeper. Poison creeper comes in clutch with those big groups of enemies I'm discovering. So, I don't think this is open yet, but let's see if it's open. I don't think it is. Yeah, I think the whole other side, I imagine. I like how that second attack can really come in clutch. Because it has that little spin move in it. Oh, a nice little speed there. Anytime I get these, I like to just sprint. Just to wherever I'm going next immediately. That's good. used it late. That's my mistake. I would say, like, I really like this build, and I'm kind of liking this build a little better than Tornado right now, mainly because it has zero fluff. I use the bulwark in those heavy situations. I use the heal on top of that if need be. Like, thankfully the bulwark is preventative, so it can prevent that damage from happening. But that nice little blood howl is a very nice way to heal when that's on cooldown. So if you really alternate those two abilities, I think it's a really great build. This was a build made by Teo. I think he made the Tornado Druid builds as well. I wonder if he likes this one or another one. I'd be really curious to see. Sometimes it's hard to tell if I'm on combo and move 2 or 1. Mainly because I smashed the right click button. I almost kind of want to switch it to something else. I feel like I wouldn't use it as much if I did. It's cursed. Alright, this is where we use our poison creeper.
I must wait a moment.
Let's go ahead and heal while we're at it.
Not ready yet.
Oh, okay. Good timing, I guess. I guess this means that it should be unlocked, yeah? Actually leveled up to 22. I've been putting in ranks into Call of the Wilds. I think Poison Creeper might be my priority right now. Let me double check this before I proceed. Maybe I should pay attention to that.
I must wait a moment.
I've been feared. Alright. I think we're good. Okay. Let me double check my build here. I'm almost certain it's the poison that I need to get, so let's check out. No, not Ren Barbarian. By the way, if you're a Necro fan, I did put out a Necro guide as well for Bone Spear. If you're a fan of Bone Spear in that style. I've noticed a lot of these, like, it truly is playstyle, whether you like it, but the best playstyles are the ones that are, like, good. So it's kind of it's a combination of the two. Let's see. Yeah, 20 through 23 are supposed to be Poison Creeper. I grabbed that one a little early. That's fine. So that technically, by that logic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, so we're supposed to grab all ranks in Poison Creeper first. That makes sense because, like, really it's our only AoE ability, so we want to make sure it really capitalizes on those attacks. So that makes sense. Really, the only thing Call of the Wild do is upgrading our wolves, so that's our single target damage, really. Which isn't a bad deal, it's not like a bad setup to have. Yeah, I would just say if you can, try to avoid spam attacking with Shred. I'll keep on wanting to call it Rend, because my mind was on Rend earlier. But yeah, I would just avoid spam attacking if you can, just because it's super tempting, but you really want to keep track of everything if you can. It's just going to be a lot easier to know where you are in your combo. Kind of like big cleaves, like it kind of works out. So it's not, I guess it's not all on the poison, so.
Helda, I'm sorry I left so quickly. Father said such awful things.
Set the wolves on.
Bear it. Don't fret over me. I'm safe. I fled to the ruins we thought deserted and was shocked to find there a group. I hope you offered me food and water.
I call, heal up a little bit.
I'll admit I was scared at first. Hard living has made them strange looking. But they feed
Sick
me
'em after one.
quite generously. For once, I have some fat on my bones in this frigid wasteland.
Some fat on my bones.
Rebellion.
My bones be fat. Okay. That was strange. Alright, sick the wolves on him, because it's about to get hairy, so these are poison. Alright. Yeah, if I'm gonna call this anything, it's gonna be like a no-fat build. I think it's because a lot of builds, especially leveling builds, they focus a lot on AoE, which is good because it's a lot of groups. But I think they adjust the game for that, and so they put a lot of single target enemies to make the game a lot harder because not a lot of people focus on single target. This one has abilities that are strong single target and multi-target. So it's like it's really well to use together. It's a nice little balance. I'm pretty stuck right now, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it's almost like combo number 2 and number 3 are pretty easily combined. Like, they're hard to separate, so that's the hardest part about using I'm gonna get it eventually. Shred. Jeez. Alright, let's use all of our single target things. I'm gonna wait to use my poison though. I will use my call. A little bloodhound there. Guessing I have to use this to kill these. Double dash really coming in handy right now. Ooh, that was a nice little. I could have easily dodged that. That's on me. Nice little invulnerability hack there. And last one. Okay. There's no real opportunity to use the poison. I'll try to use it if he does the little blood vessels again. See if it helps. Maybe. Oh no, my wolves.
Low on spirits.
Okay. Once again, good dodge that. You came back, wolf. See if it works on it. Not really. It's kind of too far away. That's fine. Immortal Emanation.
My bags are full.
Oh, okay. Sure. Club that never made it. All right. And once again, just for like solidarity purposes, if you missed it, or if you're looking into this build, Storm Strike is kind of like the core of a lot of builds, just because it has that damage reduction right at the bottom. So if you're looking at Storm Strike, if you're seeing it a lot, the reason why is because Storm Strike does have that damage reduction, and that's the reason why. Enhanced, of course, just for the immobilization. That's going to be key to like really setting up any AoE. If they're standing still, it's easy to, you know, kill them. And then vulnerable, just to make it do a little bit more damage for whatever ability you match it up with. So really not really for damage itself. Your spirit generators are not going to be dealing damage. They're more of just setting up your damage dealers. Second is your shred ranks. You're going to build these up over time, more towards like the mid to late teens, but shred is your core damage dealer of this build. And of course, making those combos work for you and not trying to just button mash it, but like really just aiming the right direction into the biggest amount of mobs, and then following that up with more shred, more damage, and then the last part, which is my favorite part, which is that little poison, which works perfectly with another ability that's going to come up. Bulwark, of course, or grabbing, mainly for that damage absorption, but most importantly, unstoppable, which becomes really cool, meaning you're not going to get like feared, you're not going to get stunned, I believe, as well. Basically, movement and parrying offense, so like slows. You're going to basically get out of any situation that's too sticky, or you can stay in a very sticky situation. Blood Howl is going to come much later. Actually, you'll skip it in the beginning, mainly so you can grab your wolves as well as Poison Creeper. Poison Creeper is going to be really essential to this build early on, so you can have some AoE for those groups. Spreading poison across all those mobs is going to be really big. But know that it's also 20-second cooldown, so wait till you get those big groups before you use it. Trust me, it'll come up more often, mainly because you have really good single target abilities that do some damage to multiple targets too. Mainly whenever you start getting your ranks of shred. And then wolves, of course, single targets. Once you get your bosses, your mobs with higher health, and then if you really want to make that strong, I recommend starting putting ranks in Call of the Wild before you even get Blood Howl. Is probably best. Blood Howl is probably going to come last because it's just a heal, really, that's going to work on top of your bulwark. So you use your bulwark when you start to feel like you're about to take some damage, so you can escape those sticky situations, and then Blood Howl when you actually start taking that damage. So comboing those two abilities together is really fantastic. Really big mobs, use that Poison Creeper ability. It's really great. Single target, use the wolves. Shred, really for everything else. It's your main damage dealer. It's going to be attacking basically everything around you and doing a pretty good amount of damage as well. So I really like this build. I don't want to give it like necessarily like rankings, but if I were to, I would say this is easily like a 4 out of 5 build. I would say the hardest parts about this build for those of you dealing with this early on and you're wondering like, well, we saw it at, you know, level 20, you know, I'm not experiencing the same thing. I would say it's very slow to start. I have, of course, the 2 dashes with my character, and that makes it a little bit easier to move around, but it can be pretty slow to move around. Also, spirit usage is very high. Like if you're just mashing right click, you're gonna spend a lot of spirit super quick, and then it can be kind of a bummer, because if you're out of spirit all the time, it's really not gonna work out for you. Like I said, what I recommend, if it's really just single target, use those wolves as much as possible so you're not spending as much. And if it's multi-target, use that poison creeper. Like, just pick the situation, use the right ability so you're not using shred as much and spending spirit as much. But shred is that main damage dealer, so use it properly. So make sure you're facing yourself near massive groups and just shredding as much as possible. And then last thing is, I really just like this because it's really a really great area of abilities. I feel like there's no fat to this build. I actually do think the mobility is really decent as you begin to rank up, because the way that shred works, but also just because you're targeting. Once you get really good at targeting enemies, you're not going to be slowing down as much. So it can be decent mobility. So I will retract that. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the build. If you like this build and you want more simple builds on druids or different builds that you've seen, drop them in the comments. Give me an idea of the builds that you like to see, and I'll add some more as time goes on, of course. But this has been a big change from Tornado Druid, because Tornado Druid's basically all AoE, but I really like this build. And big thank you to Teo 1904 on Max Roll for making this build and putting this build out there for people to use. See you in the next one.